Guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, definitely do subscribe, hit the bell notification button. So today's video is gonna be a pretty basic video. As you might know, I graduated, or I will be graduating next month. But yeah, I'm done my undergraduate degree. Thank God. Moving on. With COVID and everything happening and being under lockdown, I've had a lot of time to think and reflect on my last 4 years in university. And I thought, you know what, why not just do a video about all the things I wish like someone had told me before I went into uni, and things that could have probably helped me out a lot in my last 4 years, especially my freshman year, because man was dull. So yeah, that's basically what I'm going to be talking about today. So I think one of the first things for sure that I wish I knew before hitting uni was that it's nothing, absolutely nothing like in the movies. Like, you know, when you watch, like, I think it's Stomp the Yard, a bunch of like other university movies where it's like your social life is so lit and like somehow you still manage to do well in school as well and stuff. Like, I actually thought I was about to like hit it big in university. I had that as the image of what university would be like, with sororities and fraternities and, you know, the whole works, like this grand experience and everything. And not to say that like people don't have that experience, I'm sure like a bunch of people do, but one thing I never really like took into consideration is university in Canada completely different than universities in the States. So things like fraternities, sororities, I want to say most, but like a good amount of universities in Canada don't have that. They don't have like, actually, they don't have the culture for like sororities and fraternities and stuff. If at all a university does have one, maybe it's like one or two and it's like on the low kind of deal. Queen's definitely did not, like they banned that ish years ago. So I went in thinking, you know what, like I'm gonna have the opportunity to do that kind of thing. No, absolutely not. University is nothing like the movies, especially if, like in my situation where going in, I knew I wanted to pursue medicine and it's hella competitive, like GPA wise, getting your extracurriculars, all these different aspects. So definitely you need to have a really good balance between your academics and your social life. And there isn't much time, in my opinion, to like while out as much as you want. Like, you need to have a good balance. It's not all the time you can go out. It's not all the time you can party and things like that. So I definitely wish someone had filled me in on that and helped me lower a lot of my expectations in that regard. I think that probably, I know that would have set me up a lot better, like not thinking like, or feeling some kind of way when I wasn't like going out and having fun, and like, why am I always in the library reading, or like, you know, why am I always worried about books, and like, why is it dull? Given I went to Queen's, and Kingston is its own issue, but yeah. The second thing I wish I was more prepared for was failure. And it's still something I struggle a lot with even till this very point in my life, where, you know, in high school, especially when you are someone who excelled like relatively well throughout high school, failure isn't something that you meet a lot. And like, even when you do meet failure in high school, it's not necessarily to like this intense degree that you face in university. And I remember my first year like struggling so much academically, which is not something I've ever really felt before. Like, given there would always be like one or two courses here or there throughout my high school degree where I wouldn't excel at, but it was never that deep. Like, I still did pretty well. Like, I would still be able to cop out like B plus, like that would be my really bad mark, minus physics. Physics was hell. Physics was actually of the devil. And till this day, I don't understand how I finesse physics, but I finesse it. Either ways, I hated physics. But yeah, I'd still be able to do relatively well regardless, until I hit university. And it wasn't just one class, it wasn't just two class, it wasn't just like once in a blue that I was struggling with something. It was every single day throughout semester one, throughout semester two. And for me, like the kind of person I am, like when things like that start compiling one after the other on top of each other, it gets really demoralizing for me. Like, it almost feels like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, and I allow things like that to weigh down on me. I will be the first to admit that I am horrible at dealing with failure. It's not something that I feel like I had enough preparation for before hitting university. And unfortunately, with my university experience, I feel like I have faced a lot of situations where I have failed. I could have done better, I could have done things smarter, more efficiently, and like my expectations I had for myself, I just was not able to meet it. And because of those events, like looking back at, like, not looking forward at things now that I'm at the end of my journey and like different moves that I would like to make with my life, I can't comfortably make those moves because of the mistakes I made way back in first year. I remember my first quiz or test for physics, I got a 16 or 17%. And I remember just like looking at that mark and just feeling so drained and so discouraged about the entire thing, because I'd studied, maybe not as well. Like, there's a thing of studying hard and studying smart. And I think I did a lot of studying hard, but not smart. I couldn't get a grasp of like what was the best way for me to accomplish these goals, because you get a lot of content coming your way, which is another thing I'll talk about. But yeah, I remember getting that 16-17% and just feeling like absolute crap about it. I cried like nothing else, because I'd never experienced that like level and deep, like, you know, feeling of failure. Like, yo, I'm not smart, why on earth am I here? So yeah, looking back now, I almost wish like I'd faced a little bit more failure, or like at least been more prepared for what failure does to a person and your confidence, and like work through that earlier on, so that by the time I got to university, it wouldn't be so much of a problem and it wouldn't affect me as much as it has. Because at the end of the day, like, everyone does fail, that's guaranteed, that's given, but it's how you keep on moving, how you get up after that failure. And I think that's something I still struggle heavily with, where something bad happens that is completely out of my plan, and I dwell on it so much that it stops me from progressing with my life and like moving in a quicker pace towards the next goal, or like getting back on my feet. The next thing, which actually showed me shige during my first year, is allowing what other people are doing and thinking to affect and like demoralize you where you're at that point in time. So obviously I did my high school in Calgary, Alberta, and by the time I got to university, first week of class, not even first week, first day of class, I remember this so well. Chemistry class, we were sitting down, the professor, you know, introduces himself. I'm like, oops, syllabus day. It's not that deep, you know. He's gonna tell me a little bit about him. I might tell him a little bit about myself, because that's what you do in high school, like get to know me, name games, yada 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 yada, especially if you went to a small high school like I did. No, absolutely not. That's not what was going on. He did a little introduction. This is who I am, Professor this is my research, da 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 da. I'd say it probably took like 5-10 minutes maximum of a 50-minute class, and then straight to the material. And obviously I'm like, okay, at least, you know, I've been nervous about starting university and like university material and stuff, but you know what, I was like, everyone in this classroom of like 300 and something people, we're all in the same boat together. You understand? Like, this is our first day. No one here has been to university before. We're all first years freshmen together, so it's chill. Like, even if I'm struggling, everyone else around me is struggling as well. That's exactly what I thought. Come for the teacher to start teaching, yeah? And he's talking about all this different material, and every time he'd mention a new topic, he'd say, this should be review from high school. And I'm just sitting there like, excuse me? Like, he'd bring up this thing, this should be review from high school, you should have done this in grade 11. This should be review from high school, you should have done this in grade 12. And I'm sitting there like, this is the first time I've ever seen this material. And because it was supposed to be review, he would only spend like a couple minutes. So he was just basically like skimming through this, skimming. And I literally was just like jaw dropped, like I'm in trouble. And what made me feel worse about the situation I was in, like if to say everyone else felt the same way, like visibly felt the same way as me, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable and like, okay, like I'm not the only one struggling, but everybody around me nodding their head, yes, go on professor, yes, it's review, oh, I've learned this in grade 10, I can't even have learned this in grade 9, come on, ahead. Like I literally was looking around as everyone was nodding like, yeah, I did this in high school. And I'm like, what? I have never learned this ish before. And it wasn't just chem, it was so many other classes as well, where like for instance psychology, who dashed me psychology in high school? Ooh, yes, people around me were like, oh, I took psychology, I took sociology, I took this is review. And I guess like those are the benefits of going to a public high school. Like it's big and has more to offer for students, but I went to a small private school in Calgary, so like my knowledge was a lot more limited than a lot of my other classmates, and I had no clue that this was going to be a struggle that I would face. And I felt like it slowed me down and like weighed me down in a way that I'd never expected, where when people were just reviewing content briefly and then like starting on the next thing, I had to really sit down and understand it. And if you know anything about university, once you don't understand week 1, it's hard to understand week 2 to 12, because everything builds on each other. So if you don't understand the review, there's no way of how you start understanding the new material that they're bringing out. It doesn't make sense. So I literally, like, everybody will be on week 3, week 4. I'm still trying to understand content from week 1 that is supposed to be reviewed for everyone. So that killed me. I struggled so much in first year because of that, and like feeling like everyone here is smarter than me. Like why did I get in? Why am I here? Because clearly I don't meet up to the standards of everyone else. And that's a terrible way, like looking back at it, it's such a terrible way to look at yourself and your accomplishments, because like everyone will do their own thing, but it's not a mistake why you are in a position that you're at now. And at the end of the day, like I blame myself for not speaking up and not asking for help. Immediately I knew that things were off. I kind of bottled it up to myself and like thought I could fix this issue myself and work through it myself, which is not the case. Like, because I wouldn't have done that in high school yet. Like I felt so intimidated because a class of 300 and something people were all ahead of me. I felt like, you know what, like I didn't want people to think I was stupid. That was my biggest thing. I really didn't want people to think I was stupid or label me as someone like who wasn't capable. So I just I shut my mouth for the entire semester, and my grades showed it, which is unfortunate. Like you can't go back and like redo those things, but like that's basically where I was at. Another thing that no one told me about was the amount of content you go through in university. Like I swear a semester's worth of content in university is probably covered in the entire year of high school, and you don't even finish the content. Like there is so much information that is being thrown at you in one lecture alone. A 50-minute lecture, you go through so much content. The readings, nobody told me readings was like, who dashed me readings in high school? Like we never really did readings, you know. Your teachers will literally like hand you the package. Like there were very few classes where they tell you to read the textbook, and even then like they would give you like handout sheets where you like answer questions, so it's very easy to like skim through. Like there was no preparation for it, you understand? So like I went there, they're asking you to read like 30, 40, 50 pages before class, but mind you, you're taking like 5 classes altogether. So now imagine reading like 30 to 50 pages for 5 different classes. They may ask you, you know what, read paper, prepare for lab. That's another thing, lab. Who dashed me lab in high school? I swear, like the last physics lab I did before university, I was chopping popcorn under my table. I was like, we didn't have it's actually so sad when I think about it. We didn't have the lab materials. Like, we didn't do chem labs, we didn't really do physics labs. Like, my grade 12 physics experience was somehow, it was sus. I did not enjoy any bit of it. I didn't feel like it really helped me prepare for, you know, university. So like, going into my first chemistry lab, they're talking about oh god, Erlenmeyer flask, this that, this system this system that. I'm looking at them like a lodo because I don't know anything. I don't know how to use anything. Like this, I wasn't privileged enough to have had that kind of experience in high school. So university was the first time I was exposed to a lot of those things, and it's a shame. But it's a situation that a lot of people probably do find themselves in, and I feel like I did myself an injustice by not seeking help when I identified that those were things that I lacked, like knowledge that I lacked and other people did not. Because of my entire like shame of like not wanting to be singled out in my classes, or like people to see me as less than. Like, I wanted people to look at me and like, you know, look at me like, oh yeah, she's smart, you know, she's capable. I didn't want people to be like, that is the one that don't even know the basics. Because when everyone was bringing out their marks, so I aced this, that's another thing. Trust nobody. Do you know the amount of people, like the amount of times in first year where people around me would be like, that test was so sweet, I aced it, fire, my hands were just on fire as I was writing it, 100% this, 100, this is so easy. Oh yeah, I know the answer to that. And I'm sitting there knowing I don't know shishi, not A to Z, nothing. Like, I'm struggling, I'm getting 16% on quizzes and tests. Like, I'm not even going to, that's the thing with me. I never open my mouth and lie to anybody, oh, it was sweet, it was sweet. I just did not talk. That was my own strategy. I won't lie to you and tell you that it's sweet, I got 100% on this. I just will close my mouth and say absolutely nothing. But everybody around me, oh, it's sweet, it's this, I'm doing perfect, it's delicious, I'm chopping the grades left, right, and center, A+, 4.3 GPA. You understand? 4.3 GPA. I'm here suffering that everybody around me is doing well. Come for me to come to second year, I'm finding out that the same people that were doing guy around me, oh, GPA is sweet, test is sweet, I'm acing it all. I know the knowledge, like I'm even the professor, I passed professor self. All of them were struggling in first year, but everybody was faking it. Like this, they say, oh, I did not get into my course because my grades were not great. But we're looking at them like, were you not the same person that were telling me you were acing everything 4.3 GPA? You know, everything sweet. Chemistry, beautiful. Mathematics, amazing. Biology, you were on fire. Yet you didn't, like, when I tell you, like, do not allow what other people are saying to bring you down, because chances are people are faking it till they make it, you know. And like, when you start thinking, you know what, I'm not worthy enough to be in this situation because like, look at everyone else around me, they're excelling, they're doing so amazing, this is so easy for them, no one is struggling, I'm the only one who's struggling. That's not true, because I will bet you 9 out of 10 times half those people are probably lying. They're probably having just as hard of a time as you. The only difference is they don't, like you, they probably don't want other people to know that they're struggling. So like, some people will lie about where they really are at. And it's unfortunate, but that's just the reality of university. And it took me an entire year, my entire freshman year, to come to the understanding that these things were actually happening. And I wasn't the only one who was struggling. I wasn't the only one who was finding it hard to keep up with classes and readings. I wasn't the only one who was doing bad on their tests and exams. And it's unfortunate because I learned all of this so late. If I had known during my first year or even before my first year, I wouldn't have allowed all that negative feeling I felt about like not being capable among my peers to weigh me down. I would have been like, you know what? I'm not the only one struggling. I just need to find a different way of accomplishing my goals. Maybe I'm not like utilizing the right study methods for me and this course. You understand? So it's like, don't let other people's wahala bring you down, because trust me, trust me when I say it, there will be snakes, there will be liars around you. But at the end of the day, university is like a singular race. It's just you and that track to the degree. Other people will be winding in and out, but like they don't define your experience. Your experience will never mirror another individual's experience in that campus. You will go through different things than other people, feel different ways, and that's completely okay. In fact, that I'm pretty sure that is what is expected. So don't start comparing yourself and your struggles and your like inabilities and however you see it, like, oh, I'm not accomplishing this and that, but this person is, because like you might be struggling first year and they'll be excelling first year, but come fourth year you will be thriving, you know? And then that's maybe when they start struggling. So don't even like, I wish I knew not to compare myself, because the peace I have felt in my, especially my third and fourth year, knowing that JJ is just me running my own race. It's just me, nobody else, just Mua. Like the peace in my heart knowing that whatever is happening is just between me and me. You know, I'm not battling anybody else, I'm only battling myself. It was a kind of peace I wish I had in first year. It would have saved me so much heartache, it would have saved me so much tears, probably would have saved my GPA as well. But you know, you can't, unfortunately, I can't change any of those things. Like it definitely did bring me to who I am now and the accomplishments I've had, like I've been able to accomplish throughout my 4 years. And like I can wish and wish and wish that things were different, but at the end of the day I can't go back in time. So that's why I'm dropping a bit of this knowledge for you guys, because even if I can't change the experiences I've had and the process, my process to get to here, at least like for a lot of you guys who are about finishing high school and thinking about going to university, wondering what that feels like and looks like, you can learn a couple things and, you know, prepare yourself, because university is not easy. There's a lot of struggles, there's a lot of obstacles and barriers to face, whether academically, socially, mental health, like physical health, like there's just a whole bunch of things, finances, but at least you can learn a little bit from my experience. So yeah, I think I've talked like a ton, so I will cut it off there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stay tuned for more videos. And again, if you haven't already subscribed, I don't know how you managed to watch through the entire video. You have not subscribed for anything. What's going on? I mean, I have sweet content in my channel, so go and subscribe. Then after you subscribe, yeah, jump onto the next video. I have vlogs, you know, it's COVID season, we're all at home, so you can't tell me you don't have the time to watch my vlogs. So just jump to the vlogs and enjoy yourself. Bye y'all, thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you in my next video.